Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. Holland Reviews, where today I'm going to be reviewing the book David Gets in Trouble by David Shannon. I can't tell you, when I was looking at this, I was like thinking about the ways that he can get in trouble. I kind of look back to the No David book that David Shannon made, but this was very interesting, and I'll tell you a couple reasons why. The first reason is that in the first book, No David, you just see his mom saying, "No, David. No, David, no." And you just see her going back and forth with him about what not supposed to do, but you don't hear anything from David until this book. This book is almost like the opposite of No David, because when David gets in trouble, you hear the things that David would say. When David gets in trouble, he says, "No, it's not my fault." So if the other book said, "No, David," then he would go, "No, it's not my fault. No, David, I didn't mean to." So if you read it like that, it's kind of interesting because you can almost put those two books together and hear what goes on in their house. This is another author's note. So the author actually kind of explains what's going on here in this note. It says, "A few years ago, my mother sent me a book when I was a little boy, and it was illustrated with drawings." And so I'm already starting to get the feeling that this is kind of like an author's note that he left in his other book. This sounds very familiar, but down here it says, "Well, now it's David's turn to speak." And it turns out that no is a big part of his vocabulary too. Of course, when his mom says no, it's because she worries about his safety and she wants him to grow up to be a good person. Deep down, she's really saying, "I love you," but when David says no, it actually means, "I don't want to get in trouble." So this note up here is from the original book, and then he adds to it with this. So what I was saying about what I noticed is actually what he wanted us to know. He wanted us to know that this book is kind of like the opposite end of why she was saying no, David. And I love how he says that he's saying it because he doesn't want to get in trouble, because that's the other thing I noticed. When it says, "I didn't mean to," look on his face. Does he look like he's like sad about it or mad about it? No, it looks like he's really being silly. So I don't know if I could take him seriously. And when it was an accident, it doesn't look like he was trying to listen. Because and I used to play baseball and hit baseballs in the yard with my brothers when I was growing up. But my dad's rule was always to always hit it away from the house. And so we had to make sure that we were in a place where if we hit the baseball, it wasn't going to hit the house or hit a window. It doesn't look like David was doing that. So he's saying it was an accident, like he didn't mean to, even though he probably could have hit it away. Do I have to, those kinds of things? My dog ate my homework. Now, David actually adds an illustration of him doing it, but oftentimes people say, "My dog ate my homework," as an excuse of saying, "Well, I didn't do it." And I'm making up a story as to why I couldn't do it. Saying things like, "But she likes it." Does this cat look like she likes to get pulled in the tail? No. So he's trying to make up these excuses. And this one I thought was very interesting, because you might not understand that. But when I was younger, and even when my parents were younger, when they said bad words, they had to put soap in their mouth to clean it out. And it really doesn't clean out the word, but when you taste soap, you don't really like it, because soap's not really supposed to be in your mouth. And that was a form of punishment for maybe when David was a little kid. So, but when it says, "But Dad says it," you go, "Well, what did he say?" Well, based on this picture and based on him having a bar of soap in his mouth, the expression was, "Clean your mouth out with soap and make sure you say clean things." So he said something that wasn't really clean, or something he should have said. This is another picture that you had to use some context clues. And context clues are looking at the words and looking at the pictures and seeing what it all means. He says, "Excuse me." Now, when I say excuse me, I think of two things. I can either say excuse me because I needed to get by and I accidentally nudged somebody, or I'm trying to say excuse me so that they know I don't want to hurt you, or I don't want to push you. I just want to get through. But the other reason why we say excuse me is it's part of our manners. And it looks like with his mouth wide open and these wind lines coming out, and it looks like he's blowing on the candle and the flowers, it looks like he's burping. And when you burp, you say excuse me too. But you could say excuse me and not belch out loud. You could try to like keep the burp in if you have to, or try to not make it so loud. But it looks like he wasn't trying. So I love that David Shannon added that author's note to say, when mom was saying no, it was to keep David safe. But when he says no or he says something else, he's trying to get himself out of trouble, which is why he says David gets in trouble. Because all those things still get you in trouble. You just have to be sincere. If you accidentally did something, you have to come to your parents about it and say, I'm really sorry. Or even your teacher. Because I've had friends that they waited until they got in trouble and said, but he did it or she did it or because of this. It's like if you do something that you know is wrong and it wasn't on purpose, you can come to an adult and say, I didn't mean to do this. This happened on accident. I was trying to do this. You can explain it because we know that you're going to learn from it, and we just want to be helpful. And the one thing I will say about that before I leave you with this is it makes me think about an incident that happened on the playground when a student really wanted to go down the slide and they pushed another friend in front of them to go down the slide, but that friend actually fell off the slide and got hurt. And you think in your head, oh, if I accidentally push someone off the slide and that person was really hurt, well, do I run away and act like, it didn't happen so that no one knows that I was going to get in trouble and that I did that? Or should you go to your teacher and tell them that someone got hurt? The answer to that is that you really should get yourself in trouble, essentially. That was something that you shouldn't have done. But if one of your classmates is really hurt, leaving them on the ground hurting for a long time without the teacher knowing is that's not a good solution, because that could really get your friend hurt. Like if they need to go to the nurse or go to the hospital, like time is very important. So you need to tell someone right away before a bigger situation happens. It's one of the things that if you tell somebody about what's going on, it makes a punishment or the consequence a lot more or a lot you're actually able to handle it a lot better than if you just let it go and you wait for someone to find out, because that can cause a lot more problems if you let a lie like that go a long way. So anyway, all that to say, I love these type of books because it really helps me learn and helps me grow, and I hope it helps you learn and grow too. So check me out my other videos on my channel, but until the next time, I will see you guys later. Bye everyone.